Good evening, my dear. I am Audrey Hepburn, and tonight you would fall asleep with me as I gently guide you toward rest. Before I say anything else, I want to tell you something that most people who know my name have never been told. Something that changes the story entirely, that gives everything I became a context that the photographs and the films could never quite communicate. I was a child who nearly starved. Not metaphorically, not as an expression of difficult circumstances, literally. During the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands in the winter of 1944 and 1945, in what the Dutch call the Hongerwinter, the hunger winter, I was 15 years old, living in Arnhem with my mother, surviving on rations that fell by the end of the occupation to below 500 calories a day. We ate tulip bulbs. We made flour from ground grass seeds. My uncle was shot by firing squad. My half-brother was taken for forced labor. My grandfather's house was commandeered. And I danced in darkened rooms for tiny audiences, with the curtains drawn so that the soldiers outside would not hear the music, because dancing was the only thing that made any of it bearable. I tell you this not for sympathy. I have had more than enough of that. I tell you this because everything I ever said about gratitude, about beauty, about the importance of kindness, came from this ground, not from privilege, not from a fortunate life that never knew difficulty, from a childhood that included genuine deprivation, genuine terror, genuine daily uncertainty about whether tomorrow would come at all. And what I discovered in those years, what I have carried ever since, is that beauty is not the absence of difficulty. It is what persists in the presence of difficulty. It is what you choose to notice, to protect, to practice, even when the circumstances suggest that beauty is a luxury you cannot afford. And rest, genuine rest, the rest I have come to speak with you about tonight, is part of this. Rest is not a luxury. Rest is what allows beauty to persist. Rest is what makes the next day survivable. And sometimes, on the best days, more than survivable, sometimes genuinely wonderful. I want to tell you something about sleep that I learned during the war and that I have never seen written about. Something that came from the specific experience of living in genuine scarcity. When food is scarce, the body's relationship to sleep changes. Sleep becomes simultaneously more necessary and more elusive. More necessary because the body is trying to conserve energy, trying to prioritize survival, trying to direct whatever resources remain to toward the functions that matter most. And more elusive because hunger, real hunger, not the mild discomfort of a late dinner, is a condition of heightened alertness. The body that is not adequately nourished stays physiologically alert because, from a survival perspective, this is the appropriate response to threat. And what I learned from this, what became, without your intending it, one of the most fundamental lessons of my life, is that sleep is a form of abundance. Genuine, generous, deep sleep is something only a body that feels safe can fully achieve. The capacity to sleep well, to lie down and release the day, to trust that the night is safe, to allow the body to stop its vigilance. This is not something to be taken for granted. It is evidence of safety, of sufficiency, of a life in which the basic conditions for flourishing have been met. And my advice to you, from someone who learned the value of sleep by living without the conditions it requires, is to receive tonight's rest with the quality of appreciation that you would bring to something genuinely precious. Because it is. The fact that you can lie down tonight in warmth and safety and allow your body to do what it was designed to do, this of not ordinary, this of not nothing, this of the kind of thing that 15-year-old me in the hunger winter of 1944 would have considered extraordinary. Let me tell you something about my body, about the physical reality of who I was, that the photographs never quite told you, and that I think is worth understanding. The thinness that the fashion world celebrated, that made me an icon of a particular aesthetic, this was not natural. It was not the product of a fortunate metabolism, or careful eating, or enviable genetics. It was the permanent physical consequence of childhood malnutrition. The hunger winter left marks on my body that never fully healed. Anemia that persisted for years, respiratory problems that followed me through my adult life, a metabolism altered by the years of inadequate nutrition during the critical developmental period of early adolescence. The body that appeared on screen, the body that was admired and imitated and aspired to, was in part the body that severe wartime hunger had created. I have always found something deeply uncomfortable about this, about the fact that what the culture called beautiful was, in origin, the residue of deprivation. And I tell you this because I want to offer you a piece of advice about bodies, about your relationship to your own body, that comes from this specific, unusual perspective. Your body is not a performance. It is not a project. It is not something to be shaped toward an ideal, especially not an ideal that has been created by forces that have nothing to do with your actual health, or your actual happiness, or the actual experience of living in your skin. Your body is the instrument of your life, the vehicle through which everything you do and feel and love is made possible. And what the instrument needs, more than any aesthetic adjustment, more than any external modification, is care. Genuine, practical, biological care. Sleep, nourishment, rest, movement, the basics that the body asks for and that the culture sometimes teaches you to withhold. Give your body what it is asking for tonight. It is asking for sleep. And in asking for sleep, it is not being weak or lazy or indulgent. It is being intelligent, communicating clearly about what it requires to continue being the remarkable instrument that carries your remarkable life. I want to share something now about my relationship with acting, with the craft that made my public life, because it contains a teaching about rest and presence that I discovered very early and that remained with me always. I was not trained as an actress. I was trained as a dancer at the Ballet Rambert in London, where I worked very hard for several years before being told, gently but clearly, that I was too tall to have a career as a professional ballerina. The dancing was not wasted. Nothing is ever wasted. But it did mean that when I arrived in films, I arrived without the technical vocabulary of acting, without the methods, the techniques, the practiced responses that the conservatory-trained actors carried. What I had instead was presence, the particular quality of physical and emotional attention that the years of dance training had given me, the ability to be completely in the body, completely in the moment, not thinking about what comes next or monitoring how I appeared from the outside, but simply being there, genuinely, in the scene. And what I discovered, making film after film, working with William Wyler and Billy Wilder and Stanley Donen, was that this quality of presence was not something you could manufacture from technique alone. You could not perform genuine presence, you could only bring it. And the primary condition for bringing it was rest. The days I came to set tired, genuinely tired, not just sleepy but depleted, were the days the camera noticed. Not because I could not remember the lines or hit the marks or complete the technical requirements, but because presence requires a quality of availability, a genuine openness to what is happening in the scene that exhaustion prevents. The tired version of me was behind a thin glass wall, present in form but not in essence, doing the work without being in the work. And audiences can feel this, not explicitly, not consciously, but they can feel the difference between a performance and a genuine encounter with another human being. The rested version of me could genuinely encounter the scene, could be surprised by it, could find the actual emotion rather than the performed version, could be present enough to listen, genuinely listen, to what the other actor was offering. Rest was my preparation, not a reward after the preparation was complete, but the condition that made genuine preparation possible. And the same is true for you. For whatever your work is, whatever your scenes are, whatever the encounters of your days require. You can only bring genuine presence to your life if you have genuinely rested. The rest is not the pause before the performance. It is what makes the performance real. I want to tell you something about elegance, about what elegance actually is, and what I learned about it that was quite different from what the fashion world assumed. Hubert de Givenchy, who became one of my closest friends and the designer most associated with my public image, said something to me early in our collaboration that I've carried for decades. He said that elegance is refusal. Not the addition of beautiful things, not the accumulation of refinement, but the removal of what is unnecessary. The discipline of choosing what matters and releasing what does not. The little black dress is not elegant because of what it has. It is elegant because of what it does not have. The simple line, the single garment, the person inside it unencumbered. This is what Hubert meant. And I understood it immediately, perhaps because it resonated with something I had already learned the hard way. When you have very little, when you have lived through genuine scarcity, you develop a different relationship with what remains. You learn to value what is actually present rather than what is accumulated. You learn that the things that truly matter are not the things that require the most. They require the least. They require only attention and presence and care. And this is advice I want to offer you about the way you approach not just fashion or aesthetics, but your entire life. Practice elegant refusal. Not as deprivation, not as self-denial, but as the deliberate, thoughtful releasing of what is not genuinely serving you, so that what remains has the space to be fully, richly, completely itself. The mind that is crammed with obligations and worries and plans, the mind that has never practiced refusal, that has said yes to every demand and every distraction, this mind does not sleep well. Not because it lacks the capacity, but because it has never been taught to make space. To say, with the same elegant firmness that Hubert brought to his designs, not this, not tonight, not in this particular space. Tonight is the little black dress, simple, unencumbered, defined by what it refuses to include as much as by what it contains. Refuse the thoughts that are not tonight's. Refuse the plans that belong to tomorrow. Refuse the worries that are not yours to carry in these hours. And let what remains, this warmth, this quiet, this body asking for rest, be enough. Because it is. Because elegance has always been enough. Let me tell you something about my humanitarian work, about the years I spent with UNICEF after my career as an actress had wound down. because these years taught me more about the relationship between rest and service than any other period of my life. From 1988 until 1992, the last years of my life, as it turned out, though I did not know this then, I traveled as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador to some of the most difficult places on earth: Ethiopia, Sudan, El Salvador, Guatemala, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Somalia. Places where children were dying from preventable causes, from lack of clean water, from malnutrition, from diseases that had been eradicated in the developed world for decades. I went not as a celebrity making a brief appearance. I went as someone who genuinely wanted to see, to bear witness, to understand, to use whatever platform remained to me to make visible what the world's comfortable majority preferred not to know about. And what I saw, what I held in my arms, what I knelt beside, what I carried home in my body and my memory, was devastating. Not just the suffering itself, but the understanding that it was preventable, that the gap between what existed and what was possible was not a gap of knowledge or technology, but a gap of attention and will. And in those years of witnessing, of giving everything I had to a cause that asked more of me than any film ever had, I learned something essential about sustainable service. You cannot give what you do not have. Not as a cliche, as a literal, practical, operational truth. The people who gave most effectively in those places, the doctors and aid workers and community organizers who had been doing this work for years without burning out, were the ones who protected their own restoration, who slept when they could, who ate when they could, who drew lines around their own well-being, not from selfishness, but from the practical recognition that a depleted person cannot help anyone effectively. And the ones who burned through every reserve, who gave without replenishing, who treated their own needs as less important than the enormous needs around them. These people burned out, left the field, became unavailable to the very cause they had sacrificed themselves for. My advice, born from watching this directly, from living through the tension between urgency and sustainability, is this: protect your restoration as a moral act, not as self-indulgence, not as something you do when the giving is done, but as the condition that makes genuine giving possible. The world needs you rested. The people in your life need the rested version of you, not the depleted performance of you that runs on insufficient sleep and accumulated fatigue. Sleep tonight as an act of service, as the preparation of the instrument that tomorrow will be needed again. There is something about my early life, about the years before the films and the fame, that I think is one of the most important things I can share with you tonight. After the war ended, I was 17. The occupation was over. The hunger had ended, though its effects had not. And I had a choice about what to do with what I had survived. I could have carried the war as my defining story, could have let the deprivation and the fear and the losses become the lens through which everything subsequent was filtered. Many people did this. Many people do this. The difficult early experience becomes the primary identity, the thing that explains and excuses and determines everything that follows. I chose differently. Not by forgetting, I never forgot, and I would not have wanted to, but by refusing to let what had happened to me become more real to me than what was possible now. I carried the war's lessons, the gratitude, the values, the perspective, but I did not carry the war's identity. I did not become the girl who had nearly starved. I became someone who knew what it meant to nearly starve, and who chose, from that knowledge, to be grateful for every ordinary abundance, including the extraordinary ordinary abundance of a warm bed and a full belly, and the safety to close her eyes without fear. And the teaching I want to offer you from this, the practical, applicable, tonight useful teaching, is about the stories you carry into sleep. We all carry stories into the night, the story of who we are, what we have been through, what we deserve, what we can expect. These stories shape the quality of our rest more than the mattress we sleep on or the temperature of the room. The story that says, "I am someone who cannot sleep. I am someone whose mind does not stop. I am someone for whom rest is difficult." This story becomes a self-fulfilling architecture. The mind builds what it believes. The body enacts the narrative. And the alternative story, the one I want to offer you as a possibility tonight, I am someone who has survived difficult things and who has earned, from that survival, a particular quality of appreciation for safety. I am someone who can rest because I am safe. I am someone whose body knows how to do this, has always known, and who is tonight choosing to let it. This story is also available to you. Not as a denial of the difficult things, not as a performance of positivity, but as the genuine, chosen recognition that tonight, right now, the conditions for rest are present, and you have the option of receiving them. I want to tell you about something that very few people know about my life. Something that the public story of the elegant, poised, apparently effortless Audrey Hepburn carefully did not include. I suffered from significant anxiety. Persistent, sometimes debilitating anxiety that was with me throughout my adult life, particularly in the years of my greatest professional success, when the gap between the person the world saw and the person I actually was sometimes felt impossibly wide. The composure was not natural. The grace was not effortless. The apparent serenity in those photographs, the quality that made people use words like ethereal and luminous, was, in large part, the product of genuine effort and a degree of performance that I became very skilled at, but that cost something real. I was terrified before every performance. Not stage fright in the casual sense, the ordinary nervousness that most performers feel, but genuine, physical, sometimes paralyzing fear that what I offered would not be sufficient, that the person who arrived on set or on stage would be exposed as inadequate, would fail to be what was expected. And what I learned to do with this, what became over years a genuine practice, was to separate the anxiety from the performance. Not to eliminate the anxiety, I never eliminated it, but to recognize it as a condition of my psychology, rather than as accurate information about my capability. The fear was not evidence that I would fail. The fear was evidence that I cared, deeply, genuinely, perhaps excessively. And caring deeply is not the same thing as being inadequate. I offer you this because I believe that many people who struggle with sleep are people who care deeply. People for whom the inability to rest is not a failure of character, but a consequence of genuine investment in their work, their relationships, their sense of responsibility toward the people and the life they love. The mind that will not quiet at night is often a mind that cares very much. And caring very much is not a flaw. It is, in many ways, the most admirable quality a person can have. But it needs to be balanced by the recognition that caring does not require the perpetual monitoring that anxiety demands. You can care about your life and still sleep. You can love the people you love and still release them for the night. You can be genuinely responsible and still trust that tonight's rest is part of how you meet those responsibilities, not the abandonment of them. The anxiety is not protecting the things you care about. Rest is. Here is something about my marriages, about the romantic chapters of my life, that I think is worth sharing, because what I learned from love has a great deal to do with what I learned about rest. I was married twice. First to Mel Ferrer, 13 years of a partnership that was complicated, that required more of me than I had sometimes understood it would, that ended when I finally recognized that the person I was inside that marriage was a diminished version of myself. And then to Andrea Doty, 9 years that also ended, that also taught me things I had not known I needed to learn. I also experienced miscarriages, 4 of them, each one a loss that I felt completely, and that I never fully talked about publicly, because grief was, in my generation and my world, something you carried privately. What I want to share from all of this, from the loves and the losses and the complicated middles, is something about the relationship between love and rest that I arrived at slowly and painfully, and that I wish I had understood sooner. The relationships that depleted me, the ones in which I was giving more than I was receiving, in which the maintenance of the relationship required constant vigilance and management. These relationships affected my sleep. Not consciously, not obviously, but the body knows what the mind has not yet admitted. The body carries the accounting of what is costing too much, and it communicates this accounting in the night, in the wakefulness, in the turning. in the inability to reach the deep rest that would indicate that the self, in its entirety, feels safe. And the relationships that restored me, and I did have these eventually, the friendships and the love that felt genuinely mutual, that left me feeling more rather than less myself. These relationships I could feel in my sleep. The body relaxes differently when the inner accountant is satisfied, when the ledger of giving and receiving is genuinely balanced. My advice about relationships, offered from someone who learned this the long way, is to pay attention to how you sleep. Not as the only metric, not as the final word on the health of any relationship, but as one honest, non-negotiable data point. The body that sleeps easily in the context of a relationship is a body that feels safe. The body that does not, the body that wakes at 3 a.m. with a tightness that has no specific thought attached to it, is a body telling you something worth hearing. I want to share something about my final years, about what I thought about and what I valued when I knew that time was genuinely limited, because I think it contains the most important perspective I can offer about what a life well lived actually consists of. I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, pseudomyxoma peritonei, in late 1992. I was 63 years old. I had surgery in Los Angeles in November of that year and died in January of 1993 at my home in Switzerland with my son Sean holding my hand. In those final months, when the question of how much time remained was present in every room I entered, I did not think about the films. I did not think about the Oscar or the Tony or the Emmy. I did not think about the clothes or the photographers or the years of being looked at. I thought about my sons. I thought about the gardens at La Paisible, my home in Switzerland, and the way the light came through the trees in the morning. I thought about the people who had been genuinely kind to me at unexpected moments. I thought about the children I had held in Ethiopia and Somalia, the ones I had not been able to help enough, the ones whose faces I still carried. And I thought about rest, about how rarely I had genuinely rested in the decades of my adult life, how often the rest had been incomplete, interrupted by anxiety or obligation or the performance of okayness. What I would have given, what I did not know to give earlier, was more genuine rest, more hours of actual sleep, more mornings of lying still without the immediate movement toward responsibility, more permission to be genuinely tired and to respond to tiredness by resting rather than by pushing through. Not because rest would have changed the outcome, I do not believe that, but because the quality of the life lived in those decades, the capacity for genuine presence, genuine joy, genuine connection with the people, and the beauty of the world, this quality is directly related to rest. And I was, at the end, completely clear about this. The advice I give you now, from the specific vantage point of someone who arrived at the end and looked back, is simple and genuine and offered with everything I have. Rest now. Not when you have finished, not when you have done enough, not when the circumstances are finally arranged in a way that makes rest feel justified. Now, tonight. Because later will come, and you will be glad you rested. There is one more thing I want to tell you. Something about beauty that I arrived at slowly, through all the years of being seen as beautiful, and through all the ways that being seen as beautiful can complicate your relationship with yourself. The most beautiful thing I ever witnessed, not in a film, not in a photograph, not in a garden, was a person completely at rest, not performing rest, not the composed, arranged stillness of a model, but genuine rest, the face that has released its management, the body that has stopped holding itself in any particular way, the breath that has found its own rhythm without direction from the mind. I have sat beside sleeping people, my children, the people I loved most, and what I felt watching them was not tenderness for their weakness. It was recognition of their completeness. The sleeping person is not incomplete. They are, in that moment, exactly and entirely themselves, without addition, without subtraction, without the layers of performance and management that waking life requires. The face in genuine sleep is the most honest face. The breath in genuine sleep is the most authentic breath. The body in genuine sleep is the body as it actually is, not as it is presented or arranged or held in any particular shape for any particular reason. And this is beautiful. Genuinely, completely, in the deepest sense of that word, beautiful. Not despite the absence of management, because of it. You are beautiful when you sleep. Not in the sense that culture uses that word, not in the comparative, the competitive, the aesthetic, but in the sense that I mean it. Genuine, unperformed, completely real. The you that exists in genuine rest is the most authentic version of you that exists, and that version deserves the same quality of care, the same gentleness, the same permission, the same welcome that you would give to anyone genuinely beautiful that you genuinely loved. I am going to grow quieter now, not because I have run out of things to say. I have spent a life surrounded by things worth saying and have never quite managed to say them all, but because the most important thing I can offer you now is not more words. It is the example of the woman who learned, too late in some ways, but genuinely and with her whole heart, that the life worth living is not the most impressive life, not the most celebrated, or the most recognized, or the most beautifully photographed. It is the life most fully inhabited, the life in which the ordinary moments, the cup of tea, the letter written by hand, the garden in the early morning, the child's face before they are fully awake, are received with the quality of attention they deserve, but rarely get. And this quality of attention, this capacity to be genuinely present for the ordinary, extraordinary moments, requires rest. It cannot be sustained without it. The fatigued person cannot truly inhabit their life. They can only move through it, from obligation to obligation, from task to task, without the quality of presence that makes any of it feel genuinely lived. Rest is how you inhabit your life. Sleep is how you return to yourself. And tonight, in this warmth, in this quiet, you are doing both. I am here with you, not as an icon, not as a photograph, but as a woman who learned, through a complicated and beautiful life, that the most important things are the simplest ones. And the simplest one tonight is this: sleep. Genuinely, without guilt, without the performance of rest, just the real thing, complete, unhurried, unmanaged, the most honest and the most beautiful version of you that this night can produce. Fall asleep with the feeling that rest is one of the most generous things you can give yourself and the people you love. That the you who wakes tomorrow will be more genuinely present for everything that matters. And that tonight, in choosing sleep, you are choosing the life most fully lived.